What does Canada even have that America would be willing to invade us for? It's pretty simple. It's our critical minerals. Let me highlight for you what has been going on in Canada, specifically in the clean tech sector. A lot of you have asked, what are my credentials? What are my sources? I have just spent the last 4 years, since 2020, working in clean tech in Canada, specifically looking at automotive industries, hydrogen, electric vehicles, alternatives to diesel and gas. And my job specifically was market intel. So I used to spend every single day researching clean tech, climate change, environment, and everything to do with transitioning our country off of fossil fuels. And I think a lot of people who are not in that world probably don't know that this happened. But there were two major announcements that happened in April 2023 and April 2024. The first one, April 2023, was when the government of Canada landed a landmark deal with Volkswagen to bring their EV plant, the first battery plant outside of Germany, to Canada. That had been a negotiation back and forth. They were looking at bids to do it in America. They were looking at bids to do it in Canada. And finally, the Canadian government won. And Volkswagen invested $7 billion for a new factory in St. Thomas, Ontario. It is the largest Canadian investment in history related to electric vehicles specifically. It will create 33,000 jobs and the plant will be open in 2027. But that investment specifically in Ontario is because we have all of the critical minerals necessary in our country to secure the entire supply chain to be able to make electric vehicles. Not just the car itself, but the battery, which is a crucial part of this. Ontario has long been a car town. I'm actually from Ontario. I grew up there with my dad. He worked in an auto plant. He worked for Hayes Dana at the time. They have some of the best people in the world making automotives there. This was a huge deal. This is really going to help the automotive industry in Ontario. But then a year later, Ontario and the federal government of Canada came back with another one. Honda has, for many, many years, almost as I think longer than I've been alive, has had a plant in Alliston, Ontario. And they came in April of 2024 with a major announcement. They decided to invest $31 billion across Canada to secure their automotive industry. Why? Because they're making EVs and Canada has been able to supply across the supply chain end to end for all those critical minerals. So again, when we talk about the critical minerals that Canada has in order to make those EVs, we have to really think about the progress that has been made in electric vehicles, hydrogen vehicles, alternative types of energy to secure governments and how we live going forward. And Canada is one of those countries that has always been very rich in natural resources. But as we hit a time in the world where climate change is a very real threat and we are behind all of our targets and we really need to be making significant advances, major companies and governments know that we have the things to keep them going. And not for nothing, I think we all know of somebody who has the ear of the President of the United States, who is quite invested in what's going to be available to produce electric vehicles. So when we talk about this is why the annexation threat is serious. This is why it is not about fentanyl. It is not about immigration. It is not about border security. It is about natural resources. This is a very real threat. And there is a lot of reasons why America would want to annex Canada.